So as most of you are aware, it's pretty obvious that there's going to be another Batman game coming out, and with Batman Arkham Knight being recently available on Xbox Game Pass, I couldn't pass the opportunity to talk about this game. As when Arkham Knight was released, it was a very controversial game. Many people believe it to be a massive disappointment, while many others also believe it to be the best Batman game. I myself also can agree with that to an extent. I'd say this is the best Batman game in terms of gameplay and environment, but not story. The reason why I say this is due to the fact that this game gives you the feeling of being the Batman more than any other games in the franchise. In some ways at least. Like in the fighting yourself. In this video I'll explain my reasoning and go over what is great about this game and some things that I like added or improved in the next game, or just some things I just didn't even like. So before going into my reasoning in this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps get my videos out there to other people and lets my channel grow and motivates me to do this more. If you got any criticisms about the video, please share them. It helps me improve and do better on the YouTube. So with that being said, let's begin. Gameplay. This is the game that's been promoted saying be the Batman. So how does that do in that department? If you play the other Arkham games, then you will know how the combat works. Each game in the series has something new when it comes to the combat, so how does this compare really? Well, with the new suit that's introduced in the game, you have more movement and more of a flow when in combat basically. You can hit people from far distances and controlling buttons respond much more quickly than the other games, and it's a lot noticeable. You'll get more out of the combat if you time your attacks right and you do this thing called a perfect free flow, and like in every other games they have, it is so satisfying to pull off. A new feature they added with Arkham Knight is where you can use your gadgets to do damage to more than one enemy. This depends on the gadget. For example, the shotgun can be used to shock enemies in a certain radius, or the grapple gun can be used to perform a really satisfying finishing move. This allows for keeping enemies from attacking you in numbers and also looks really cool when doing so. While I'm on the topic about gameplay, we should discuss the stealth, one of the main components of these games. There's new enemy types when doing stealth, like there are these guys that control a drone, so it is wise to take them out first. You can simply just stealth take down him, or once you get the upgrade you can hack the drone and you can target up to 3 enemies remotely, and that's just an example of the many things you can do with the stealth. There is different enemy types that you'll encounter as Batman, but I will go over all of these many nice fine additions they've added for the stealth and combat, but it's just too much to explain and for this type of video. And I'd rather not show footage of it, and I say it's better if you see it yourself, or, play it for yourself, I'd say even. Of course there is a few multi-takedown, but this can't be used in combat and isn't really stealthy, I'd say. If I had any improvements, I would have liked to have some more stealth missions or those training missions teaming up with Robin or Nightwing, as it is no secret that those two have been extremely underused in the Arkham franchise, especially Robin. It'd also be cool if they added something similar from Hitman or Assassin's Creed, where you can have opportunities presented to you in some ways, like a way to enter a building or a unique stealth takedown. Overall, I have enjoyed the stealth. They really nailed it heavily, but all things can be improved on, and for this next installment of the game they have planned, improvements will need to be made to the stealth for the gameplay to be fresh, but not make it too different. Before going into the Batmobile, I'll briefly touch over this, but the open world is something I've seen some complaints about how it's too big, but actually just feels big. It's only 3 separate islands that can be easily crossed with a good grapple and the right upgrades. And also driving through the city doesn't feel tedious, as everything doesn't look the same. Because of that, driving in a Batmobile isn't as annoying or tedious as it can be. Isn't as good as gliding fast and high by the city, I'd say. And also, I can tell that the architecture is heavily inspired by the animated series, and you can really see this on Megan Island. And I really appreciate that as a fan of that series. While I'm talking about the look of architecture, each of the islands has a unique look. Like Founders Island is being under construction, and under the construction you can find a more familiar Gotham, while on Bleak Island kind of reminds me of Arkham City with the small buildings and such like that. And the open world is cool references and cool things that catches your eye. If you're a fan of DC Comics, even if you have a little knowledge of DC Comics, you can appreciate them or find some interesting background information about the characters if you do the Riddler challenges and stuff like that.
I'll send someone to pick you up.
What are you doing?
Evening the odds.
I touched on it a little, but to explore its open world, you need a way to travel. This being the Batmobile. I wanted to talk about the Batmobile as this is one of the controversial things regarding this game. I do agree with those things, but it isn't as bad as everyone seems to make it out to be. So I'll start with the good of the Batmobile. It is really satisfying to drive for one. Like, it's a cool mix of the classic one, which is based on the anime series, and the Dark Knight trilogy, I would say. And it's just a cool to drive around in this thing. And this is a small nitpick, but you can run over criminals, and I mean, yeah, there's like an electric field or whatever, but yeah. Okay, so it's kind of stupid how running over people isn't considered killing, but I mean, it's a video game. Like, it doesn't ruin the experience, right? Moving on to the main complaints, which are the Batmobile scenarios. Basically, if you don't know, the Batmobile becomes a back tank. It can fire non-lethal rounds before your answers. I know you're gonna ask that, so don't ask. And this can be fun, especially with all the upgrades you can have. You can hack an enemy and have that drone assist you and take out their allies, or you have an EMP. It's fun, right? You know, the gadgets and stuff like that. It's really fun. But when you make boss fights these sections, like almost every boss fight has some sort of take section, and it's kind of disappointing. I really think you shouldn't have done that. Like, boom, Deathstroke. Mercenary assassins in this game. I remember playing this, and Troyo me was so hyped, and they did that fight from Arkham Origins really well, so you would have to think they'll have to try to top that great boss fight from a game that came out. Wait, I can't think. 2 years prior? But no. They have you take out these small tanks by sneaking up on them, and you win taking out Deathstroke, who's in a bigger tank, by running into him and shooting at him and running away from him, and repeat this a few times before there's a little cutscene of Batman catching him off guard.
Caught me off guard.
You shouldn't have dropped it.
In all fairness, all the boss fights in the other Rocksteady games were just beat him up or throw an object or beat up multiple guys and take out the last one or something like that. All except for that Mr. Freeze one, which was really, really good. Like, do more of that, please. Like, why couldn't we have that? Honestly. I mean, I can appreciate the fact that they've tried something new. I just hope the feedback about this has been heard, and Warner Bros. Montreal will just leave less use of the Batmobile in the next game. Like, different clever puzzles and, you know, maybe use it a way to get around the city, but don't have, like, every major boss fight with the use of these tanks. It doesn't represent Batman well enough as a fighter. I'm not saying there's any fun to be had with these. These sections can be fun, but like I said, I just don't like the fact how they use it with the boss fights.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
Continuing with the controversy, I want to talk about the story. The thing that really makes people mad. And yeah, there's plenty of things wrong with the story, like how obvious that Jason Todd is the Arkham Knight, and this really bothers me. Not the fact that Jason is the Arkham Knight. The motives make perfect sense for his character, but I'm like, why Jason? It has so much freedom in his universe, and it can just easily introduce a whole new character and make him or her memorable and unique. Not this. It is so disappointing, and that's really the main problem with the game for me. Like, they can have an old character from the comics or have an entirely new character introduced in the game. Like what they've done for Aaron Cash. I think Rocksteady believed it was going to be their last Batman game, so they wanted to cram the last bit of Batman stuff with the idea it will be the last Batman game. For example, things like the Arkham Knight's character being in the game and the overuse of the Batmobile is one of the main things wrong with this game. It's honestly why the story doesn't hold up as well as it should have been. It doesn't help that we have Batman dealing with the Scarecrow, the Joker, and the Arkham Knight in one game. It's all a mess pretty much, and because of that, the story really just falls flat on its face. Now, to discuss the good of the story, I've done research, so I'll explain it as it backs up my next point. Now, What I'm saying next is a huge spoiler for Arkham City, so if you don't want that game spoiled, then click off this video. Right then, you're still here, so I can just say it. The Joker dies. In the events of Arkham City, Joker was dying due to a virus he had given himself in case some of his blood to Batman. So Batman's cure didn't work, unfortunately, and as a result of that, the Joker has been in his mind for months and is affecting him, and if Joker wins, then everything he pretty much worked for will be destroyed, right? Throughout the story, Batman has been trying to keep Robin and Nightwing away from them to keep them safe. If you played the Arkham VR experience, Batman had a nightmare where he killed Nightwing and Robin dies. It wasn't all of a dream, obviously, and Bruce realizes that the Joker is in him and he's at risk of becoming him. And so are the people affected by the Joker's blood, as Joker gave Batman his blood and met others by shipping them to hospitals for weeks during the events of City. Batman tried to stop this during these events, but some were missed, which leads into the psychological battle between the two at the end of the game. And before continuing on, I really enjoyed that movie studio section. It was a highlight of the game for me, and it was just some nice Batman and Robin teamwork stuff, and the fact that you can play that is great, and I wish the other games allowed for moments like these. But back to the actual story. Early in the game, Batman gets a whiff of Scarecrow's fear toxin and starts seeing the Joker. Joker is trying to take control of his body, and by doing so throughout the game, he literally is taunting Batman. He's trying to make him kill. Joker's making some funny, sick jokes, and it kind of shows the weird relationship the two have and how much Joker really understands Batman, or at least he thinks he does, at least. Like, he says things like, whenever he takes over Batman's body, he's gonna kill Robin and Nightwing and Alfred, and Bruce will just watch and be helpless doing so in the back of his mind, pretty much. And he keeps pushing Batman to kill throughout the game, like I said, but of course Batman wins. But I find this so interesting. This is such good writing that he's doing this to Batman, and he's laughing at you and taunting you for the decisions that Batman does, like the decisions that he does out of fear, which kind of relates back to Scarecrow a little bit. And as a player, you learn more of what Bruce Wayne is feeling at certain parts of the story, and it gives Batman a more human side showed here, and more than just the cool character he looks to be. Now, that doesn't mean the story doesn't have any problems to begin with. Even the Joker is cool. They didn't really need to continue the story. It wasn't really necessary to do so, I believe. At this point, we've had like 3 games of him. I think Scarecrow should have been explored more, like his interest in fear, or even a return to old fear missions would have been nice. I'd like to learn more about him and his character instead of him being a guy full of dialogue. This isn't inherently bad, but just very underused due to the fact that the story that he wanted to tell. In summary, I don't think this was a solid conclusion to the Batman Arkham series, as not only did the story fall flat on its face most of the time, but end with the question of what happened to Bruce. What is this new Batman that is shown at the end? Judging by the recent stuff being leaked, it's not going to go into that, unfortunately, in the next game. But overall, I've grown with these games. These games really are great. Whichever one you prefer, and I really have full confidence that Warner Bros. Montreal will learn from Arkham Knight and deliver on an upcoming Batman title. And that is all I really need to say. Plenty of people have done reviews on this game, and I really don't want to waste any more of your time than I already have, so I'll just end it all here for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really much appreciate it. If you haven't already, check out my other videos, and also subscribe and like that. All that stuff is just very appreciated, and like I said earlier, it motivates me to do just more, and I love doing this, so please. And once again, my Watch Dogs 3 video actually just got over 100 views, which is extremely crazy. Thank you so much to all the people that came by and commented and supported and watched the video and all that stuff. It's really great. There's plenty more to come. I have a lot of stuff planned. Thank you for sticking with me for this crazy ride, and hope you all have a great day. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks again. There's plenty more to come.
Looking for me?